When we ask Annie and her partner Francisco why they left Honduras, he shows us.
Whoa.
Sí. Y esto. Hace 6 meses.
That was 6 months ago that he was attacked by gangs with a machete. He said after that they've decided we're up and going.
We meet the pair at a bus terminal in Guatemala City. In years past, migrants passing through here had only one destination in mind, the U.S. But that's now changing.
They've been following on the news about all the deportation flights, and they're hearing about the situation in the U.S. right now. And so for them, that's enough motivation to keep them going no further north than Mexico, assuming they can find work.
With no money for a bus ticket, they say they'll walk a couple of hours to a local migrant shelter. We plan to meet up with them early the next morning.
Here we are, just before 6 o'clock in the morning. Just waiting on the priest who runs this shelter to let him know that we're out front. Said there's about 60 migrants here from overnight.
I don't see a lot of people, really.
The numbers are down.
Yeah, the numbers down.
So do you think the messaging from the Trump administration is being received by migrants?
Yeah, for now.
De Venezuela, Honduras, Ecuador.
Fueling up before continuing their journeys, I ask where they're headed, surprised to hear one person shout,
A regreso. ¿A dónde?
I'm headed back, he tells me.
En Ciudad de México.
He was in Mexico City for a year, originally from Venezuela. He's here in Guatemala, saying he's going to Costa Rica.
And he's not the only one rerouting.
Why are you going back to Colombia? After President Trump closed the CP1 app, they decided, okay, we need to go back to our country. And so to be back here now, will you stay here?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna stay here.
You won't go back to the U.S.?
No.
Orlando Chajik called Dallas, Texas home for more than 20 years. He was deported 3 weeks ago under President Biden.
With other migrants, when they ask you, oh, should we go to the U.S.? Because you have an experience that maybe they have no knowledge of.
My advice will be, right now, it's better you stay where you stay, because you're gonna be wasting the little money that you have right now.
Especially when you go with family, the little kids.
From Venezuela, we meet Manuel and Waleska and their 3 young boys.
You're gonna claim asylum here in Guatemala. You're not gonna try to cross to the U.S.
Por peligro.
It's too dangerous.
The expense and risk of deportation too high, and yet they don't totally fault President Trump.
¿Tú crees que hay gente que del tren de agua? He says there are definitely bad people that she believes are in the U.S., but she hopes that they could separate between the good and the bad.
Yebet and his friend Patrick tell us they fled death threats in West Africa. Now, they too are reassessing next steps.
Because I don't want to enter into U.S. illegally.
What if there is no legal pathway to get in?
Then I must have to choose any of the South American countries to seek for asylum there.
For Patrick, the thought of giving up on the U.S. is crushing.
You're feeling a lot of emotion. Buenos días. ¿Cómo están? ¿Cómo están? ¿Ya?
Just before they're about to head out, we finally spot Annie and Francisco.
Menos de 10 días, 11 días.
11 días?
Sí, caminando.
They're going to walk for 11 days to the border city, Tecunaman.
No longer bound for the same destination, they all now head in different directions. Perhaps proof that migration never really stops. It only finds new roads. Of the 60 or so migrants who are in that shelter today, all of them had initially intended, so they tell us, to go to the U.S. But because of the change in migration policies and because of the risk of deportation now from the U.S., only 2 of them say that they're going to try to move forward with entering the United States. The others say they're going to try to find another country to call home. David Culver, CNN, Guatemala City.